We're going to meet the founder and CEO of a company that employs over 1.2 million people. He started the company in 1974 with $7,500 in his pocket and a belief that electronic products would be an integral part of everyday life, and here we are. He's now the largest electronics manufacturing services company in the world, China's largest exporter, with clients such as Apple. Last year's acquisitions included Japanese electronics maker Sharp and Nokia's mobile phone brand. Please welcome founder and CEO of Foxconn, Terry Gou, who will be interviewed by Adam Lashinsky. Excited you're coming.
Thank you, Alan. Please, Terry, welcome. Well, we at Fortune pride ourselves on covering the biggest and most important companies in the world. So far today, we've given our audience Alibaba, Apple, Tencent, and now Foxconn, $140 billion last year. That's a big number.
Yeah, just, one of the big.
Terry, I'd like you to start, if you would, with just a few moments on the founding story of Foxconn. Alan mentioned you started it with very little money. Tell everybody about it.
Yeah, it's, let me speak, maybe Mandarin for. was born in 1950 我是1950年在
I was born in 1950 in Taiwan. Back in Taiwan, we had to serve the army after graduation from university. So after 2 years, then you had to find a job. At the very beginning, of course, you will lose money as always. So I started to buy the Shark loan. At that time, if it's check, if you cannot honor the check, then you will be sent to the prison and you will be sentenced. So the most of the chairmen of companies in Taiwan, basically they're the wives of the major person, because if somebody is put into prison, then the wives could always rescue that person. But till now, it's been 43 years. Next year will be the 44th year of our company. So from the RSC, NOPS, Genesee, NOPS to Atari Games. So that was the process of growth and colloquial games and all the electronic toys, Mattel games to the later stage PC games. All those games or toys you played, be it Comcast or HP, Dell or IBM, to phone, Motorola, Nokia, and Apple, and Kindle even, 1, 2, 3, Alexa, Echo. You can always see the efforts of ours. So we've been working with them since very beginning for the development. So my starting up business experience started from 1970 to today, 43 years already. And now we have around 1.3 million of employees working in different 12 countries, in plants in different 12 countries. So we just invested Wisconsin major plant, and also in Japan. We last year bought a project and achieved a break-even within 1 year. So so that's a brief introduction of our founding.
Point out, we have a lot of ground to cover here. You've covered a lot of ground. It occurs to me, I asked Tim Cook earlier for his observations about how China had changed. You were born in Taiwan, and you came to do business in China far earlier than he did. What was that like? And talk about the changes you've seen.
I bring Tim Cook to China.
That's one of the changes.
Early stage, okay. Even Michael Dell, when he was 29 years old, I bring you to the Shenzhen. Go back to yeah， 我是19。
Back in 1988, when Jiang Jingguo opened the policy that Taiwan people could visit their relatives in mainland China. So I'm from Shanxi province. My mom is from Shandong, but I grew up in Qingdao, and but then moved to Taiwan. So in 1988, when the policy was open and there was a mutual visits between the relatives or people in between Taiwan and mainland China, so I came to China. So I had a plant in Taiwan. So and first of all, arrived in Shenzhen. Oh, first of all, I took the boat from Hong Kong to Shekou, the first industry zone for the opening up of Shenzhen. I visited that city to find that there are a lot of working, very diligent workers, but there weren't too many works for them, so I decided to provide some jobs for them. For example, Tim Cook visited that a plant. One of the operators he was visiting, actually, it was the head of the production line. His name is Wang Laichun. He worked for me many years ago. And at that time, we found a lot of operators from rural areas to work on our production line. So we trained them and then promoted them. At that time, from the rural areas to the Shenzhen, they couldn't even see any eggs. So I stayed in the United States for 11 years. And I believe young people, eating eggs would be good for their health. That was why we invest a lot to improve their nutrients by providing dinner or meals to them. Because most of the workers were from different areas, rural areas in Guangzhou, Shantou, and Fujian. So we signed a 3-year contract to them. And those poor workers previously couldn't even have access to meat or egg, but now we provide very good meal. And then they had enough of eggs. So after 20 years, I brought all these employees back. I had a big gathering, and they also brought their kids. I found that their kids are really chubby. So, and I learned from the United States, if you eat every egg a day, that it's really good for your next generation.
So our employees believe that, and Tim could follow and visited one of our employees' factory, and so that you can see that we gave them opportunity. We treat them well. You saw YY. He was at a restaurant, and he was a very a person came to me and he said, "I'm very glad to see you because I don't know you, but you helped us, trained us, and then you also created many bosses, and we have over 1.2 million workers in China, and we have a lot of workers, and that means like we train a lot of people, and then we have that management system, and on that training system, they were able to learn from Foxconn, and I think we contributed to the whole process of the China.
Years, Foxconn has been the leading contract manufacturing company. Now you are moving on to something you call Industry 4.0 and intelligent manufacturing. Tell everybody what that means.
When Fortune invited me to be interviewed here, it was said that we are the biggest contractor manufacturer. And actually, 20 years ago, we already transformed from OEM, from JDEM to JDSM, Joint Design Manufacturing, JODM, ODM, and then to IDM, IIDM, innovation, integration, design, and manufacturing. So
我们就提供很多的。
to Amazon, we provide IDM. So we're not OMD anymore. It's not, we're just B2. We're not just a contractor. I want to talk about big data. I want to talk about artificial intelligence. We've been using AI for past 20 years. We have accumulated, just like Tim Cook said. I showed him in China what's tooling in China. We developed over 1 million tooling, and many university graduates, they can make specs for tooling within a few diameters. They cannot indicate the tolerance. The tolerance is very important. When you open a bottle of water, it won't fall out. When you open this, you can see the water is leaking out. This is tolerance, and this is technology. So what I'm trying to say is that we used AI, many big data, machinery way back then. Our machine is telling us this tolerance is how much. And any university student, they talk about apps, or they can about subways. They can write software, or they can write apps. But then, even if you're a graduate of MIT or Caltech, or you have mechanical engineering master's or PhD, if you give him a file, and if you tell him to file to plus and minus 1 centimeter, it might take him 5 years. So our university student, we do a lot of very delicate projects, and we realize the theory and the reality, there's a big discrepancy. We know that the internet can do healthcare. We can do healthcare. We can do information technology, can do healthcare. But if you want to replace doctors, but it's something that can be replaced by AI. So we know that for healthcare, you need doctor's support. And you asked me my experience in China, and for many past years, we have accumulated experience. We're not a traditional B2 industry. We can help our customers to customize. Sometimes we can help them change or choose, or recommend them. You can recommend them what kind of material they can use, and this material, they can come to me. I tell them what kind of material they can use and what's the spec that you should use, so the water will not pour out. So this is the stage we are in, and I know the 19th People's Congress. President Xi talked about the economy, and everybody is doing economy, and no matter what company you are, everybody is doing real economy, and everybody is affected by internet. But I think. Well, people talk about autonomous driving, but I think the real winner is still the automobile industry. We provide over 100 parts to Tesla. The first Tesla automobile was made in Taiwan. The California government gave him the incentive. That's why they moved to Fremont. But it's developing very fast. But I think the real winner in the automobile industry is the real car makers. So I think for us, the real economy, of course we're going to use internet, but we're not going to. I'm not going to call it internet. We're going to call it intranet. And China is changing. China is doing the Internet of Things. So I want to provide this technology from our company to small and medium-sized companies, no matter what they're doing. Let's say they do shoes, clothing. We want to provide them technology. Let me give you an example. In Wuzhen, they were talking about digital economy. There's a consumer digital economy, and there's also manufacturing economy. So the consumer digital demand is there's a gray area for manufacturing one, but you need a precise number. So we have to, we're going to give our know-how of our big data and give it to this small business.
Places, Japan, Wisconsin, and Guangzhou. I want to start with Japan. Why did you buy Sharp, and what has happened since you bought it?
Okay.
为什么 why Sharp? Because Sharp is it's a display technology. It's in the business of display technology. It was leading this industry. It's a Japanese company, and it doesn't matter what they did. They were Sony. There's Mitsubishi in Japan, and they are over 100 years old, and it's for third or fourth generation. And after over 100 years, some companies are doing this, but some European companies they're doing better, like Philips. They're doing a very good management. But for a Japanese company, this third or fourth generation, for them to improve their company, that's not the most important thing. What they want to do is to safely, securely hold on to their jobs. For example, they want to increase their job to 3%. If they increase to 5%, they will hide those 2%, and they say they will bring up that 2% for the next year. So their mindset is not just improving their company. Let's say some good companies like Uniqlo and SoftBank, you have the first generation managing those companies. So they are their management system is different. And let's talk about Guangzhou. Guangzhou is, no matter whether the governor, he is a expert in aviation. And the secretary, Ren, he is very capable person. And when I build a factory in Guangzhou tonight, 9 or 10 o'clock, well, I'm going back to Shenzhen. So they say they want to know if I have anything to do here. So they're very proactive. And you see that they have a very strong government protecting this or supporting enterprises. And let's talk about Wang Yang. Wang Yang once mentioned, you see many foreigners coming to here. They all ask me, and they say, how is China's economy? But I want to know your economy, because I'm in the business of exporting. So they are exchanging ideas. So the foreigners want to know if China's economy is good. But if your economy is not good, how can my company do well? So we can see that Chinese government is supporting, and President Xi has a 30-year plan. And this is very different concept from the U.S. or the Europe. When you have a 30-year plan, but then versus those 4-year term, you have a change in 4 years. You have to change or you have to learn in that 4 years. But then when you have 30-year plan, you have to go step by step. Okay, that's about Guangzhou. So let me talk about Wisconsin. In the U.S., President Trump, I think there will be some change. Over 10 governors are contacting me, and I go there and I made some investments. I built some high-end factories. I'm investing in 8K. 8K means it's a big data. The factory in Wisconsin is attracting American attention because they want to provide job opportunity in the Midwest. So Washington is very glad that I'm doing that. And Wisconsin, doesn't matter whether you're in Milwaukee or Madison, you can see they have everything that's something really good. For example, Harley-Davidson, it's in Milwaukee. It's been there for over 100 years. Or Johnson Control, ST Johnson, G Health Care, all headquarters are there. And you see that there are a lot of technology in Midwest in the U.S. And you see some governor, and they all gave us good incentives. And these incentives is following the rules of the law of the U.S. And I want to add a point. When I started my business 43 years ago, the opportunity was given to me by the U.S. And now I have this opportunity I want to bring back to the U.S. And when I bought Sharp, and I only sent one person from Taiwan to Sharp because that's the way I want to do. And when I go to Wisconsin, we wanted to send only 10 people from Taiwan. And we want to bring some Americans to come to Guangzhou and to get training. And we also want to hire veterans. And I feel that veterans are very disciplined.
So we would like to send our people to be trained in in Japan. And in the future, we're going to use the high-tech AI, big data to manage these system. And then we will compare which side has the higher efficiency. So far, by comparison, we think these two areas are very promising. Guangzhou, as well, Guangzhou is catching up. Wisconsin has already woken up. So probably wait for 1 or 2 years, we could see the result.
One question, if I could see a hand up. And if there aren't, I will ask you that so I was thinking, Terry, while you were speaking, that you put the global in global forum with all of the places where you do business. You deal with business and government officials everywhere you go. The obvious question for you, you've spent a lot of time in Wisconsin and in the United States. What do you make of President Trump, who I know you've met with more than once?
Yes, this year 4 times.
And your opinion of what's your experience with him?
He's he's a very straight person. Okay, he like you, he say he like you. He don't like you, he say he don't like you. Okay, he very straightforward. This is number one. Sorry, 我讲他很直的人。
Secondly, he's looking for jobs for people in the United States. Each time he said, "You should have more jobs to us, and the salary should be such." And thirdly, he is a businessman. he wouldn't talk something fancy, but he would use very direct, simple language. Me, myself, also is a business person being directed by policy.
Okay, I understand completely. Very last thing. We only have a short time, but I want to ask you about one other famous person who you've dealt with in your career, and that's Steve Jobs.
Yes. I really miss him very well. Okay, during when we working for, 我们当开始跟 Steve.
When we were working with Steve Jobs, he was a very great thinker, and he is looking for optimism. Looking for being perfect. So he was very stringent, and that is why we are also looking for the same perfection. I was very lucky. That was one of those few Chinese people that was invited to attend his funeral. After attending his funeral, I realized he was believing in Tantra, Tantranism in Tibetan. So he had two ceremonies. One is held in the Western way. So there is a yellow yellowism and blackism in the Tantraism in Tibetan. He believes in the yellowism in Tantraism, similar to that of blackism. So he is very demanding. He's very stringent. He was. But whenever you have difficulties, for example, he will help you. For example, in our company, there was a suicide accident happened in our company. And at that time, Jimmy Carter, the former president of Apple, of the United States, was a director of Apple. And then he asked him, who is the best doctor in the United States that has the most authority to deal with the suicide? And he brought this person to China. And he also brought Air Force expert as well as Cornell University expert come to stay here for 2 days to address the psychological issues as well as suicidal issues in our company. And Jimmy Carter was here even by himself. So I think different people have different perspectives. He has innovation, creativity, and his vision. The reason, I sometimes could see the shortcomings and made decisions. For example, killed our cooperation with Motorola and another company, but he could see the future. So that's why I miss him so much, working with him. Even though he was very stringent, but when you needed him, he would help you from the bottom of his heart. He's a great man.
Appreciate so much about you being here with us today is that we have in you so much history of global business and also in your company the future. And thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.